the Torrington chapter welcomes all to our patriotic concert featuring the St. Peter's Drum Corps. Good evening. I'm Art Mattiello, president of the Torrington chapter of UNICO. UNICO presents this evening's concert in conjunction with 26 towns in Litchfield County. The towns represented were listed on signs in the lobby with names of troops in service from each of those towns. The Torrington Elks Color Guard joined UNICO in our tribute to the returning troops and greeted you as you entered the theater. The idea for the patriotic concert originated with UNICO, and the purpose of the concert is to recognize our troops returning from Saudi Arabia. We all share in the joy that the conflict has ended. All proceeds from the concert will be donated to the Westover Air Force Base to be used for the troops upon their return. The decision for the money and the funds was made by a committee chaired by our mayor in Torrington, D. Dunning. The formal presentation will be made after intermission. Now on with the show. I'd first like to thank, though, Mr. Collins of WSNG for their gracious support in promoting our concert, and our MC from WSNG for the evening, Mr. Jerry Weesey of radio station WSNG. And now, Mr. Jerry Weesey of WSNG.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. You know, I don't get nervous when I'm on the air in the morning talking to thousands of people in Litchfield County, but, well, actually, I can't see any of you anyway, so it's about the same thing. Thank you for coming out this evening. We'd like to begin things, since it's a patriotic concert, with the Star Spangled Banner, and it's going to be sung by Heidi Wood, who is a fife player with the St. Peter's Fife and Drum Corps. So, ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Thank you, and please be seated. By the way, the guns weren't loaded. Back in 1930, during the Depression, 61 years ago, a group of musicians got together at the Monsignor's garage at St. Peter's Church. They eventually became St. Peter's Fife and Drum Corps. There are 2 original members who are performing this evening. They performed in 9 foreign countries, 14 states, including the nation's capital. They've performed in literally thousands of parades. They have won about 4,000 awards. They perform in about 9 to 10 competitions a year. They take their performing very seriously, as you'll see by many, many medals on many of the performers this evening. They performed at the Mardi Gras, Expo 74 in Spokane, Washington, at Disneyland, and Disney World. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure to introduce St. Peter's Fife and Drum Corps under the direction of Benny Antonelli. The first number this evening, Thunder and Blazes by Lorendau, also known as the entry of the Gladiators, is a famous circus march used as an overture by Barnum, Bailey, and the Ringling Brothers Circus. The arrangement by Benny Antonelli, and I think you'll enjoy it. St. Peter's Drum Corps. School lunch menus. Oh, sorry. The next selection by the St. Peter's Fife and Drum Corps, America. A polythematic selection of patriotic melodies, starts slowly and simply and then develops into a musical quilt with military march themes woven together. Again, the St. Peter's Drum Corps. a while ago, they perform in about 9 to 10 competitions a year, and this next number, Washington Grays, is a very difficult march selection used by the Corps to capture the Connecticut and Northeastern States Championships. And this piece features a strong lower bass section, and we again believe you'll enjoy this one. Audrey Grish, the Corps' champion majorette, will start the corps. There's an on button on there.
There is?
I'm kidding.
I think it's on. Jerry is doing a very fine job. We're called the St. Peter's Drum Corps. We just dropped the title of fife in our name. That seems to give you a connotation of Yankee Doodle Dandy too frequently. Anyway, it's St. Peter's Drum Corps. Thank you.
Okay, they pointed that out to me back here. I'm sorry. Get it wrong. Before we begin the next number, I would like to point something out. You'll notice that there's an empty chair on the stage to my left here. It will remain empty due to the loss of Marty Andrews, who at 30 years of age lost his life in an automobile accident. Marty was revered for his ability and his success as a performer, instructor, and an adjudicator, and the Corps will miss him. Now, on to the next piece. Rolling Thunder, aside from being the name of a roller coaster, a great adventure near where I grew up, this is a particular piece that features a brass quintet, utilizing the lower brass voices. I can relate to this. I used to play tuba in high school, and I told the girls I played heavy metal. That seemed to work better. Rolling Thunder.
Thank you.
Selection, something chosen from Connecticut's own Leroy Anderson, who he did many melodies that are still heard today. He's done selections such as Sleigh Ride, you hear it at Christmas time, Syncopated Clock, which kind of reminds me of The Late Show, the Typewriter Song, which they seem to drag out every Secretary's Day, and this particular piece they're going to perform for you, something extremely difficult, and I think you'll like it. It's called Bugler's Holiday by Leroy Anderson of Connecticut. well, not really a trivia question, but something. Imagine what you might see 4,000 people, 4,000 men, leaving a certain establishment on Litchfield Street in Torrington. You might call that Elks Parade. Well, this particular Elks Parade is a Dixieland tune made popular by the Bobby Sherwood Orchestra. The arrangement features Scott Haber on trumpet, Brian Vietz on baritone. Elks Parade also performed by the New York Skyliners. Okay, Elks Parade. Mine works.
Yours does. Mine does too. Hey, when you speak it sounds good, Jerry.
Thank you.
How about a hand for Scott Haber? Scott?
Maybe Ferguson, eat your heart out.
How about Brian Vietz? Brian Vietz? We're very proud of him.
Sue Gazzo, the champion baton twirler and instructor at Sandy's Baton Studio in Bristol, has created a routine which she choreographed to Carl King's Barnum and Bailey's Favorites and Farrar's Indiana State Band, which you're about to hear. And once again, Majorette Audrey Grish will start the chord. Sue Gosnell, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, Sue, come here a second. Sue, how many medals do you have?
Well, there's 100 on here, and there's a few more at home that I have.
Whoa. By the way, it's black underneath there, in case you can't see it. Congratulations. There you go. The next selection, the drum corps will perform for you this evening. A Spanish-style selection added to the repertoire at 86 for a tour of Mexico. It displays the versatility of the corps and the musicians in it by the number of soloists. So they present to you Macarenas. Soldiers was added to the Corps' repertoire for the 250th anniversary of Winchendon, Massachusetts, which is known as Toy Town. And the rifle section of the Color Guard, played by Captain Sue Andrews, well, they're tonight's Toy Soldiers. St. Louis Blues March. Well, this old blues tune was made popular as marched by the Glenn Miller Army Air Corps Band. The band had its beginning in Yale, or actually at Yale University in New Haven, where many local musicians were recruited for performances in Wolsey Hall. The drum solo will be performed by Torrington's Dan Chirito. Get it right? Hope so? Good. Okay. He is a St. Peter's alumnus.
Jerry, it's working now. How about a hand for Dan Chirito? Come on over here, Dan. Get Danny to come down here. Come on, Dan. Come over here. I guess you're not going to do it. There you go. Danny and I played together since 1944. I don't know what year that is, but I'm very proud to be his best man at his wedding. He's doing very well in that category. And he's an old retired man almost, right, Dan? Almost. The post office. How about a hand for Dan Chirito, huh?
200 years ago, the British and the Americans were on opposite sides. As was reflected in Desert Storm, we're very much on the same side. In fact, next to the United States, the British made the most significant contribution in terms of person power, resources, and lives. And it's appropriate that they do Sounds of the British Regiment, a medley of British, Scot, and Irish selections, which were part of the bagpipe band repertoire. There we go. The color guard led by Assistant Captain Kathy Wheeler. Street Parade, added for the 1990 Mardi Gras Rex Parade on Fat Tuesday in New Orleans. This old Dixieland tune features Sharon Heth and her floating French horn. How are you going to do that? Do you have any strings? Amazing. And the last chorus adds the baritone in Won't You Come Home, Bill Baylor. All right.
It's a custom in the Mardi Gras parades that when the floats come by, they throw beads and coins off the floats. Everybody rushes to get their hand crushed as they reach for something. Of course, they'll be stamping on it. Our girls are going to come out there now, our ladies, and they're going to give you a little gift, maybe.
Who didn't get one? See me afterwards. Chimes of Liberty. The arrangement attempts to feature all the selections of the corps. It also is a try at utilizing dynamics from the complete range of pianissimo, soft and quiet, to fortissimo, which is loud. The trio has a fife obbligato, and the finale features the baritone section with the special effect, the sounding of chimes. I think you'll like this one. It's important to point out that what the corps is judged on and when they are involved in their competitions is their musical ability, which is why they need to demonstrate it, just like a figure skater might do triple axels and things like that, and a gymnast might do something unique. So that's why they do all these wonderful different things in their performances. National Emblem, a stirring patriotic march that's recognizable and every grade school child can sing the second strain. And once again, starting the corps, Audrey Grish.
Dedicate this selection to all those who have given their lives for our country. We in St. Peter's have lost two people in World War II, Pat Russo and my friend David Red Seabarge.
caught you tapping your foot on that one. I couldn't resist. Now, if you can pronounce the name of this next one, you win a Domino's pizza. Actually, it's pretty easy. It's pronounced the way it sounds, Zacatecas. This was performed by the drum corps over Mexican TV back in 1986. The network is called Televisa. The program was Hoy Mismo, which is Mexico's version of Good Morning America. And twirling and dancing once again to the music is champion baton twirler Sugazo. Certainly something, well, okay, you may not recognize it as patriotic, but it's part of our musical culture, jazz. Well, In the Mood, a Glenn Miller classic performed by the St. Peter's Drum Corps without the use of saxophones. Fifes are used in the place of saxes, and the soloists perform tenor sax solos on baritones and French horns. They don't believe in having sax players in there. They don't believe in having saxists as part of their groups. All right. Chirito.
I also want to recognize the horn players, Dave Wagner. What do I have for Dave Wagner? Dave? David Beach. Brian Beach, his bigger brother. And our cello major, French horn minor, Heff. Sharon Heff.
Just reminds me, in the mood. I've been reminded to point out that Greg and Don Prince, who are both members of the St. Peter's Drum Corps. Greg plays trumpet. Don is one of the members of the color guard. They had a little baby boy last night. Brian Richard Prince, 8 pounds, 15 ounces. Congratulations. Just a little under 11 weeks ago, I had my first little boy, and I am James Alexander, and he's adorable. Yes, and he smiles, and he's got a voice like Dad, well, except a little higher. Now, that leads me to another point. One of the members of the drum corps here is, well, she sang the national anthem. Heidi Wood, who's sitting right here on the end. Wait, Heidi, don't stand up. Heidi is due to have a baby. Were you due yesterday, actually? You were due? Was it yesterday you were due? Tomorrow? Oh, tomorrow, okay. Okay. Well, we certainly wish you the best. She said she would not want to miss tonight's performance, and I say would not. I want to avoid using contractions. Just remember, breathe, okay? I'm pretty well practiced up in case you need some help. This is an 18th century drawing room. That's what this is called. It's written by Mozart. The fife solo that Heidi will play for us, celebrating the bicentennial anniversary of Mozart's death. That's a nice thing to celebrate, isn't it? South Rampart Street Parade. South Rampart is a street in New Orleans And the Dixieland tune was added for the 1987 trip to Louisiana. And a lot happens in this arrangement, especially during the drum solo.
I'd like to be able to show off our fine snare drummers. Now, they'll be doing their solo before we do the part that you'll probably recognize. South Rampart Street is an avenue, of course, in New Orleans. And yeah, it is. And some of us got caught on that street one day. How about a hand for the shortest member, Harold Collins?
A chance to put their drums back on the stands. The next selection, Bandology, was written by Eric Osterling, a giant in composing and arranging music for high schools, and he was born and raised in Portland, Connecticut, and now resides in Florida. Of course, most of the population of Torrington, I think, resides in Florida during the winter time. I hope you're all back now. It's nice to have you back. But where was I? Let's see. Florida. Okay, Florida. Mr. Edzinelli first heard the selection played by the Litchfield High School Band and thought he would rearrange it for St. Peter's, ladies and gentlemen. Bandology.
Someone's in Litchfield, I heard that.
Litchfield, the Kelly bus is leaving in about 5 minutes.
certainly isn't a more fitting way to begin to bring this performance to a close, it being a patriotic concert and all. Two more numbers, and this one certainly with peril of Desert Storm behind us, and as we've seen this evening, our brave service personnel returning, there certainly has been a resurgence of patriotism, and the next selection is certainly fitting. God bless America. Selections that really didn't need an introduction. And finally, for the last selection of this evening, during President Reagan's administration, Congress passed a bill naming the following the nation's official march. And now the St. Peter's Drum Corps concludes this patriotic concert with John Philip Sousa's world-famous Stars and Stripes Forever.
very much. I'd like to be able. Oh, thank you very much. Go play some more, all right. Thank you. Okay, we'll play now. I was just going to try to recognize our color guard captain, Sue Nelson Andrews. How about a hand for her?
You better recognize her. She's got a sword.
And our next lady is Audrey Bardusi Grish. And she has got a sword, but be careful. And then we have the baton twirler, Sue Gazzo. I told Heidi she had to wait until after the concert. We have to also be very proud to have with us Mr. Jerry Weezy from WSNG. How many have for Jerry? Fine job.
Okay, so no Jay Leno, but I had fun. This was I had a good time. Thanks for inviting me, and next time you have another concert, look me up. Not hard to find.
What do you want? Want to play some more? The next selection, that was bravura, by the way. The next selection is Ballyhoo, which was written by Paul Lavelle. And Paul Lavelle used to be the director of the McDonald All-American Band. And I'm very proud also to acknowledge that Litchfield, they were so boisterous. They had a young lady there as a student at Litchfield High. Her name is Laura Lovich, and she played with the All-American McDonald Band. And they take 2 from each state, a total of 100 piece band. And they played in Pasadena Rose Bowl, they played in Macy's, they went over to Hawaii. And they were there with Doc Severs, and I wish I could have been there with it, because he's really a fine horn player. All right, so we'll have Ballyhoo.